Tonight on KGW News, the bike lane upgrades Portland hopes will make cyclists safer.
And just get a lot more people using the infrastructure.
Plus, the president takes on the homeless crisis.
This is a course change in direction.
Will his executive order impact local efforts? But first, detectives worry they've just scratched the surface after arresting a man for a disturbing sex crime.
There are allegations of misconduct that span over 15 years.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich. We begin with those Washington County investigators looking for more victims tonight after they arrested a man in Aloha for kidnapping and several sex crimes. A warning, some of the details are difficult to hear. Alma McCarty has the story.
On July 21st, deputies arrived in this quiet Aloha neighborhood responding to a report of a sexual assault.
This wasn't an easy call for them to take. The charges are pretty egregious.
Charges against 58-year-old Drew Hendricks for the alleged assault of a 20-year-old woman he did not know. A woman who court documents say got lost near his home without a phone after she'd been drinking with friends at an event that night.
Because of the nature of this call and because of the person we were dealing with, our tactical negotiations team, which is essentially our SWAT team, was who took him into custody.
Prosecutors in Washington County say Hendricks was in his garage when he found the victim crying and needing help. Although she asked for directions to a gas station, he allegedly invited her inside and refused to let her leave, telling her he was, quote, so lucky that she stumbled upon his door. Documents describe how he allegedly forced her to smoke meth before sexually assaulting her and taking pictures of the abuse. Investigators also believe Hendricks sexually assaulted a man in his 80s that very same night and inside the same home.
We are looking for additional victims to come forward.
Prosecutors also claiming in court documents that Hendricks has a pattern of stalking, threats, and being sexually inappropriate with women, especially at the auto repair shop he used to own in Portland.
There are allegations of misconduct that span over 15 years.
Hendricks remains at the Washington County Jail without bail, pending a preventative detention hearing.
Investigators say that he also has an open case, another sexual assault and kidnapping case out of Columbia County from last year. Christine, back to you.
Yeah, some difficult details to hear in that case. Alma McCarty reporting. Thank you, Alma. Let's get you caught up now on tonight's other headlines. One man is in custody after a standoff with police at a Malala Park where homeless campers often stay. Malala police say the man got into a fight with an officer while doing a routine check, and he was able to lock himself inside the patrol car. The standoff eventually ended peacefully with an arrest. The officer was hurt in the fight, then taken to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. Meantime, in Washington, the search for Travis Decker is slowing. He's the father accused of killing his 3 daughters near a campground close to Leavenworth. After nearly 2 months, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office says it's getting fewer leads and tips. There are also fewer officers on the ground looking for him, and at this point, deputies don't even know if he's alive. There's still a $20,000 reward for any information leading to his arrest. And back in Oregon, this drone video shows a deadly fire that broke out at an apartment building in Forest Grove just after 6 o'clock this evening. You can see the smoke there billowing over the area near 19th Avenue and Pacific. Forest Grove Fire says an off-duty firefighter and retired deputy fire marshal were first on scene and helped residents escape. One person died in that fire. Crews had to pull out of the building at one point when they were worried about the roof collapsing. It took them about 3 hours to get out all of those hot spots. The cause at this point is under investigation. To the gorge now, where officials say they are continuing to make slow and steady progress on the Burdoyne fire burning on the Washington side of the Columbia, east of Bingen. The fire hasn't really grown much in the last 24 hours, holding at about 11,000 acres, with containment at about 20%. Evacuation levels have been lowered in some areas, including in the town of Lisle, which is now down to level 2 B set, allowing people to return home there. SR 14, though, is still shut down for roughly 10 miles between Bingen and Lisle. Now to a quick look outside on this Friday evening from our Rose City Skycam. A beautiful end to a picture-perfect day. Let's toss it over to Celine Stevens, who's in for Matt with a first look at your weather impact forecast.
It was a nice day today. Temperatures got up to 80 degrees at the airport here in Portland, 79 degrees in Vancouver, 80 in Hillsborough. We saw 82 in Aurora, lots of 80s on the map. Other areas, of course, along the coast seeing temperatures much cooler, looking at 61 degrees earlier today in Newport and 68 degrees in Tillamook. So pretty warm day. This trend does continue into the weekend. As we get into tomorrow, we're going to see some morning clouds to start off our day. We start around 56 degrees. Again, some of those clouds will start to burn off by around noon. We're going to clear up, see temperatures in the mid-70s, and by 5 p.m. we're dealing with sunny skies, temperatures in the upper 70s. So again, pretty much like today. As we get into the rest of our weekend, expect temperatures to slowly start to climb. By Sunday, we're looking at 82 degrees for the high. Another day that starts off with some cloud coverage that burns off by noon, and then by Monday, temperatures in the mid-80s, sunny conditions. So overall, we're starting to climb back up that temperature ladder. Overall, we're seeing seasonable temperatures remaining. We get to warm up early to mid next week, though. We're looking at 90s returning by Tuesday, lasting into Wednesday. I'll talk about when we'll then return to the 80s after that coming up.
Yeah, some great weather Saturday and Sunday looking wonderful, but we've also got a weekend traffic alert to tell you about. Part of Highway 217 is closing overnight Saturday in both directions. This will be between Southwest Greenberg Road and 99W. Workers are removing a temporary pedestrian bridge that crosses the highway. You can also expect some noise overnight if you're in that area. The shutdown begins at 11:59 tomorrow p.m. with the road set to reopen by 8 o'clock Sunday morning. To the homeless crisis now, and a new executive order from President Trump. It pledges to end crime and disorder on Americans' streets, but proposes doing it in a way Oregon laws may not allow. Catherine Cook is here in studio with us now. Catherine, break down this executive order for us.
Well, Christine, in the order's words, this is a new approach. It aims to make it easier for local agencies to remove homeless people from the streets, including those with mental illness.
We hit a lot of home runs, and we're going to keep hitting them.
Making America safe again. It's what President Trump claims his new executive order aimed at ending homelessness in America is focused on. The order directs the Attorney General to reverse judicial precedents and end consent decrees that limit state and local governments' ability to commit people on the streets who are at risk to themselves or others.
If there are people that are a danger to society, we can get them help or get them treatment that they need so that way they're not living on the streets.
Gabriel Bueller chairs the Washington County Republican Party. He sees Trump's executive order as a necessary change of course in addressing homelessness.
We've spent a decade of just throwing millions and millions of dollars at this. And what's changed? Nothing.
In a statement to KGW, Disability Rights Oregon weighed in, saying people with serious mental illness are more likely to be victims of crime than to be a danger to anyone. If we really wanted to make our communities safer, we'd be investing billions in behavioral health services. How Portland will respond to the executive order remains to be seen. Mayor Keith Wilson's office declined to comment, saying they'll need time to review it and analyze how it'll work with the current state law. Oregon's civil commitment law may prevent efforts to involuntarily commit someone to mental health treatment, depending how the courts interpret it.
I'm sure it's going to get challenged, but I think that there are places that are in this nation that are going to take great advantage of this to really turn around their communities.
This emergency that's facing our state will be with us for a while.
Governor Tina Kotek's office did not respond to questions about Trump's executive order, but this week the governor signed into law her own statewide plan to tackle the homeless crisis. It includes more than $200 million meant for addressing homelessness across the state. She said Oregon's on track to pay for more than 4,800 shelter beds and get more than 3,000 people off the streets.
But let's remember, when we talk about those numbers, it means real people, Oregonians who are struggling or suffering or have had a crisis in their life. And by providing a warm place to call home, or at that shelter, that transition spot, we are building a more prosperous and healthier state.
The order also directs federal agencies to take a look at its grants and prioritize giving them to cities that do the most to crack down on public drug use, camping, and squatting. Christine.
Appreciate you digging into this. Thank you, Catherine. Well, speaking of President Trump, a federal appeals court has ruled his executive order trying to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. It comes after late last month, the Supreme Court ordered lower courts to take a second look. Washington Attorney General Nick Brown led the legal challenge, and Oregon joined the lawsuit. Brown calls the ruling a big win, noting this is the first time that a federal appeals court has fully concluded Trump's order is unconstitutional. He expects the Department of Justice to appeal and believes the case will return to the Supreme Court.